Punk Rock Palette with Pandemonium. Today I'm going to be doing homemade birria, and I'm going to be using chuck roast today as well as some beef ribs. Now I've already cut these up here into a few squares, and I've added salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. I did the garlic powder because I like to sear the garlic and those seasonings already into the meat as I'm going to throw them into the pan to sear them before doing the final adobo. And how I'm also going to be making the adobo. I'll be using some chili peppers today. I have my pasilla ancho chilies, arbol, and guajillo chilies. I was also going to be using some onion, lime, tomato, cilantro as well at the end, chili powder, paprika, and I'm also using beef stock. Now you can make your own beef stock. I recommend using your own beef stock. Today I'm going to be using actually some homemade beef stock that I made, and I'll be adding my peppers and chilies to those to get my adobo going. All right, let's get started. All right, so I've gone ahead and added my whole onion, 2 tomatoes, about an even ratio between the peppers. Peppers, again, are all up to you and how you want to ration those out. I do an equal portion of 4, 4, 4, so I got 4 arbol, 4 guajillos, and 4 ancho peppers in there. Now you want to make sure that you're rinsing those peppers out completely. So what I like to do is get some a little bit of warm water that kind of unstiffens the pepper. That way you're able to open them up and devine and de-seed the peppers before you add them to your pot. You can, if you want to add those, you can. And then add those to your pot. Again, completely optional on leaving those seeds, and really depends on how much and how spicy you want that. And then add those to your pot. It really depends on how spicy you want your sauce to be. So leaving the peppers in, and then add those to your pot. It really just depends on how you want that hot and then just go ahead and add those to the pot. It all depends on how spicy you want your dish to be. So leaving the seeds in will create a lot more heat, where divining and de-seeding them will make the flavor of the peppers come out more rather than heat. And then I like to add a half teaspoon of cumin and then a half teaspoon of oregano to that same pot that you want to have the chilies and the onion and tomato in as well. So I also added 2 bay leaves. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. So I got 2 bay leaves in there. This is beef broth. Then I'm adding the chilies, the onion, tomato, and I threw a jalapeno in there because I have a special someone out there that loves her jalapeno. Okay, and then a half teaspoon of paprika. And then a half teaspoon of chili powder. And again, this is my own recipe. I don't expect anyone to follow this. And again, this is my own recipe. Please feel free to add and once again, this is my own recipe, so you don't really need to. And once again, this is my own recipe. Some prefer to use this, some prefer not to, but I hope you enjoy what I'm going to be making for you today. And I'm more traditional, so I like to use the wooden spoon there to stir everything in. Get all those flavors coming together. Now, some people use cinnamon, others throw a little cloves in there as well. But I don't tend to use those things. I think it makes it just a little too sweet. I like my adobo sauce to be a little more savory. All right, now that I've mixed that all in there, I'm going to go ahead and cover that up for a little bit, let it simmer. Okay, I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. There we go. Hefty pinch of salt. And just a little pinch of pepper there. All right. All right, while the peppers are simmering there in the other pot. I'm gonna go ahead and start searing my meat here. I'm gonna start with my short ribs. I'm gonna wait till that pan gets a little hot. You can tell when that pan starts to get super hot is when that oil starts to kind of go to the sides, away from the middle of the cast iron pan. Another way to tell is when that pan starts steaming or smoking. So that's what we're gonna wait for here, and then I'll start putting those in. All right, our pan is ready for the addition of our beef ribs here. You can go ahead and set them down here. Put rib down first. Spread them around in the pan there. Flip them over already. All right, I'm gonna add my other chuck parts in here. Just kind of fill in the spaces. I'm really excited about this because the last time I made this in the Instapot, I was blown away. I'm not a big Instapot fan. I love cooking naturally without technology so much. I'm a fire iron kind of guy. But let me tell you, I was amazed on how well that came out. Alright, I've added the meats there in my cast iron. Go ahead and let those sear. I'm going to turn that down a wee bit just to make sure we're not overcooking that meat. We just want a good sear on that. That way we can add into our Instapot. Listen to that sizzle. And that's what you want to have the moment that meat hits that pan. If it's not sizzling like that the moment you hit it, that means that pan is way too cold. There's methods of checking the heat of the pan, but as I explained earlier, once you see that oil kind of go to the sides away from the middle, and you see that steam or smoke coming up, another good way to test the pan, if you have a little tiny piece of that beef fat, just throw that in there, and if you hear it sizzle right away, then it's also a good time to add your meat. Alright, listen to that sear. Now be sure you're flipping that meat. Don't let it cook too much on one side. Get it nice and evened out here, okay? There we go. See that? Nice. Beautiful. Now again, these are already seasoned with salt, pepper, and garlic powder. I like to use garlic powder once again because I think it sears in the meat just a little bit better. And then again, for the end sauce, we want to use fresh garlic. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. You know, the garlic powder or minced garlic is a good way to do it. But please do not, whatsoever, please do not use garlic salt. I do not recommend that for anything. So if you could, avoid the garlic salt. That would be great. Minced garlic, powdered garlic, and fresh garlic, of course, top. That's how the line should go on that one. Or paste. Garlic, not so much. Honestly, garlic can get too much flavor from that one. But, you know, things are different everywhere. So, alright, we'll let that cook. Here we go. Alright, looks like I'm locking in that flavor on these chunks here pretty well. Getting all those sides covered. Sealing that in there. So that way when we transfer all this stuff over to that Instapot, all that flavor is going to come out. So this cuts down from being a 3 to 4 hour job to about an hour and a half total time, maybe with to 2 hours, I'd say, with prep and putting everything together. All right, that's done. It's seared and that's good. That'll sit there in that cast iron until we transfer it over to our Instapot. Rock on. Now we'll go ahead and stay there until we transfer it to our Instapot. Rock on, peeps. Alright, now here at the Instapot station, I've already gone ahead and coated the bottom of my pot with a little bit of corn oil. That's my oil of choice for just about almost all my dishes anyway, if I do use oil. Not a big vegetable oil fan. All right, so back here at the Instant Pot station, I've gone ahead and coated the bottom of my pot with a little bit of corn oil. I'm not a big vegetable oil fan. Corn oil for me is the oil of choice. That's the way I learned to cook from my Tia Lucy, and that's the way I'm gonna continue to cook going forward. All right, so that's all. Go ahead and coat it. That's coated now, and now I'm gonna add our meat to that Instant Pot. Now I coat that with oil because I don't want anything sticking to the bottom of that, because it's going to heat up quite considerably rapidly.